Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Earle Farrell for Memphis. And once again, we're going to be going to one of the iconic restaurants of the entire Mid-South, the Rendezvous restaurant. And we're going to be going on a tour, and Dean is standing by to take us on the tour. And I do want to mention that, of course, all this is made possible through Southern Security Federal Credit Union. They've got 5 locations in town. They help a lot of restaurants, and they wanted to help a lot of restaurants during this tough period of time, and so we've been trying to go to as many as we can, and certainly everybody knows the Rendezvous and loves the Rendezvous, and can't wait till all this ends. Dean, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Earle?
I'm great. I was just down there this week, and I was telling Patrick, I said, it's like going to visit your grandmother's house. Everything's in the same place. It smells the wonderful smell of the Rendezvous ribs and pulled pork and all the rest of your great food. But just seeing the surroundings, it really is like going home again.
You know, this place is iconic, and it's like your grandmother's house. It hasn't changed a bit.
No. You're in the sidebar, which is where when we'd have huge crowds, you'd start feeding everybody over there until they could get a table and everything. Kind of take us on a tour and show us some familiar sights of the Rendezvous.
I will do that. All right.
And how long have you been there, Dean?
I've been here off and on probably 30 years.
Wow.
Charlie was my uncle. So, I mean, I worked here in college and worked at FedEx for 17 years. Came here when I needed another job.
Well, it has provided so many jobs for so many people over the years. You always heard these rumors around that one of the waiters had to die before somebody else could get his job, and because nobody ever left, and it was usually a relative of theirs that got their job.
Mm-hmm. So right here, I mean, everybody was familiar with one of our famous waiters, Jack Dyson.
Big Jack.
This was formerly known as Jack's Room. You know, just
in fact, Charlie used to say, "Big Jack in the back."
That's right. Now, people that came into the Rendezvous, they would see Big Charlie standing right next to that jukebox, waving people back, waving people around.
People, stop right there. When you show that column you just passed, that steel column, and back up just a little bit. When I first came to Memphis in 1978, I was down there. It was one of the first times I'd been down there, and that was back when the naval base used to have a lot of enlisted soldiers or sailors there. And I was in there one night when the sailor was kind of getting a little bit unruly, and I promise you, this won't surprise you. Big Charlie went over there and put him in a headlock, walked over to that steel column, and banged his head on there one time. The guy dropped like a rock, and then Charlie said, "Get him out of here." And they took him. Did that happen a lot back in the wild days? Because, I mean, I never saw it again, but Charlie didn't put up with any nonsense.
He did not put up with anything. But he was also one of the most gracious men you would have ever met.
Absolutely. He was kind and so generous. He helped out so many other people financially, and there were never any questions asked. In fact, Thomas Boggs, the late Thomas Boggs and founder of Huey's, told me in an interview I did with him about Charlie, and he said Charlie came to him once and said, there's Tina. Tell Tina hi for me.
Tina, Earle says hello.
Hey, Earle. Oh, hey, Earle.
Hey, Tina. She's the brains of the outfit.
Hey, Earle.
Yeah.
I love seeing the pictures of that sweet grandson of yours.
Oh, he is a treasure, isn't he? And
he is so cute. I know y'all are just eating him up right now.
Well, we are, and it's a wonderful thing. So many people our age are now becoming grandparents. It's a whole new experience and great.
I know. Well, I got to get my kids married first.
You get busy on that. Good seeing you.
Happy hello.
I will
give her a big hug.
I will do that. Of course, Tina is one of Charlie's 3 kids. John is the oldest. Then there was Nick and Tina, and they're all involved in the restaurant except Nick, who passed away last year tragically. And Nick was just such a good friend to so many people, and you know, just a real treasure in Memphis, and we all miss him very, very much. But it is it's a family thing, and that's the whole thing. I mean, when I would come in there, come down the steps that you can see down at the end.
So I'm going to I'm going to take you on the step for where Charlie was. We'll start working our way.
All right.
Back to the front.
Well, and the thing about it is, all the waiters knew everybody that came in on a regular basis, and every one of them would say hi to you as you passed through the restaurant or wherever your table was. Which, I mean, it's like the Cheers, which is a place where everybody knows your name, and that's the Rendezvous.
No.
Now, right now, your dining room is still closed. You were saying earlier today that it was open through New Year's. You were open for a short period, then closed again after they had tougher dictates come along. But you're going to open up again to the dining room to 50% capacity next
We'll reopen on
Tuesday. Well, everybody I know is glad to hear that. Right now, you can still get curb service at To Go, and which is tremendous. And because it's the same great barbecue, you just miss the atmosphere of eating there at the Rendezvous. And there's a great portrait of Charlie that you just passed down in the hallway. But this is where the magic is made, right here in the kitchen, and. And who are the fellas you got back there working? Who we got back here now? How many pits do you have cooking right now?
We have 6 people cooking.
6 people.
Doing.
And I know that just the numbers Nick used to tell me about how many pounds of ribs and pulled pork and sausage and everything you guys were cranking out during normal times, but you're still cranking out a bunch. I was there the other day, must have had 47 racks.
We're on a normal week, we would be doing between 7,000 and 8,000 pounds of ribs, just ribs.
Wow. I mean, that is a tremendous amount of ribs. And the truly unique thing about, well, a couple of things. The ribs are char grilled as opposed to most people smoke them in Memphis. And then also is the rub you put on it, which is totally unique to the Rendezvous.
That is, that rub is what Charlie developed himself when he first started. I mean, so obviously Charlie was Greek. My family's Greek. And it's so a Greek and a Cajun influence, just mixed together some spices. Years later, he had to add paprika because people would say, well, it's not barbecue because it's not red because it was a bunch of spices. So he added paprika to make it a red.
Well, really, he was, I guess, the first guy to ever use any kind of dry rub. Everybody used to put barbecue sauce on it, but he was the first guy to do dry rub. And then later on, the Rendezvous came up with its own barbecue sauce. And that was also and still is extremely popular. But so is the dry rub. I always liked the ribs dry. They had such great flavor. Didn't need anything else besides the dry rub and the ribs.
That's definitely true. I mean, the ribs by themselves with just the dry rub, it's perfect.
Kind of pan over and show the bar area because I remember at one time you guys sold more draft Michelob beer than any other place, any one location in the entire United States.
That is correct. Right now we've got 6 different draft beers, 1 Budweiser, and 5 local beers. But the Michelob was the original, and people still come in and ask for it, even though we tell them we can't get it anymore. We only stopped serving it because they did not barrel it anymore.
And draft beer is much better than bottled beer. I don't care what anybody says. And I think that's why you sold so much. It tasted so good. And you still serve it in those big mugs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just it. Everywhere you look, there's a memory of you sitting at a table with people from years ago. Some of them are gone now. I remember Jack Salmon's. Every time I'd go in there, Jack Salmon's would be at the bar, having some ribs and a beer. And, gosh, you just walk in there and all these faces come flooding back, which is one of the great things about the Rendezvous. It is a part of all our lives.
That it is.
Of course, the other big thing that that the Rendezvous added a few years ago was their shipping kitchen, and I believe you got Patrick there. And
Yeah, we're gonna go and get Pat.
okay, it's and he, of course, he worked over there. And how old is he?
Pat?
There he is. Hey, Patrick,
Oh, Earl,
how are you doing? Step a little closer to the camera so we can hear you. The
how you doing?
how old were you when you started there? Because I accused Nick of hiring underage kids to work there when I first met you, and he said no.
No, we were 18 actually. We were legal.
You were legal. Just
Yeah, we were. I'm going to walk over to a dining room section
okay.
with you guys. We have our shipping. I kind of Dean's going to turn it over to me and talk about shipping.
Okay.
I have our box set up over there and kind of the things that they can ship.
All right.
So we'll take a quick walk up over there.
We're walking right behind you. Well, Dean is. I'm sitting in my chair.
See, I mean, another thing too is this is what normally called the old side, and we're gonna go over to the new side, which was opened in 1973.
The new side. That's like the new bridge.
Yeah. For Memphians, that were the old and the new bridge.
Yes, exactly. And I still call it the new bridge. We're headed over to what I call the holding bar, but that's the we kind of there we are. We're
You gotta have to do it on the new side, the old side.
Okay.
There you go. Not enough internet.
yeah, because I think we get into that holding bar and the internet drops off. There's one of the gun collections, which I always paid close attention to. You know, there's a story that Charlie told me one time when I interviewed him that he was walking down the street. Somebody had called him and said, I got a gun for you, an old musket loader. And he went to get it, and in broad daylight, walking down Main Street with a muzzle-loading rifle over his shoulder. Not one person said a word to him. Nobody said, hey, you got a gun. He just, that was Big Charlie, and nobody questioned anything.
Hi, Earl. I'm back, Earl, and I'm far away from everybody else, so I'm kind of going to go mask down.
Okay, yeah, well, we can hear you better that way. That's great. And
Great.
the shipping kitchen opened when, Pat?
Well, I'm going to get closer to Dean. Officially, we opened in 1996 down in the Pinch District. The Vergas family built a brand new USDA inspected facility that is about 7 blocks north, right in the shadow of the pyramid. But it's all employees like me, 30-year guys.
Yeah.
Our cooks are 15-year guys.
Well,
Our office folks are 15-year guys.
the reason they opened it, because I remember John telling me that in the early days, they used to give them to pilots for Delta Airlines.
They did. Earl, my dad.
Come on, Tina, you can get
Oh
it, man.
yeah, sorry.
Hey, Tina.
Hi, Earl. My uncle worked for Delta Airlines, and so they worked it out where they would take the boxes of ribs, and Delta would take it to various places.
And
So yeah, that's how we started, and we were doing that in 1986.
in
Started
fact,
probably in '84.
there were stories about people getting on. They could smell the ribs on the airplane. They're going, you got any for us?
Exactly. So anyway, but I'm gonna give it back to Pat. He's been with us a long time, so he can tell you all about it. He was with John. You were with John when they started the shipping.
So my first, I came from the restaurant, and John built that from the ground up, and we had to because this restaurant was too busy to have a USDA inspected place out of it. So we built it under their specs, and they come every day, unannounced, stay as long as they want, and it's a good thing. It's made us a better restaurant. It's made us a better company because you want the government watching and keeping an eye on the wholesomeness of the food, the quality of the food, and just keeping the standards that need to be kept because, I mean, our customers are the most important thing, and we just are so happy we did that years ago, and it's made life really nice for us now in this pandemic. Wow, I mean, we don't know what.
Yeah, it kept you in business because so many ribs were being shipped all over the world. I mean, people were going, man, could I go for some Rendezvous ribs? And you dial the phone and bang, it's on its way.
They are not all over the world, Earl. I mean, it's in the United States and via Federal Express or FedEx, shows my age, exclusively FedEx. They've been our partners. Delta was first, like Tina said, Uncle Pete would take them out to the airport and put them on the Delta Dash jets. But then in the early 70s, when FedEx came on board, John and Nick and Charlie tell stories that the guy would answer the phone. They'd be like, FedEx. And they were like, we got a couple rib boxes we're going to ship with you. And the same guy would come pick it up that night and take the rib boxes out to the airport. So that's early 70s. We, as a matter of fact, think we were probably the first, if not one of the first, to ship fully cooked food overnight to customers where all they have to do is reheat it.
We were.
Yeah, I mean, Nick.
Yeah. Nick's
Nick
really
swears.
actually started it.
Yeah.
And Nick, well, let me just say,
Yeah.
Nick actually started it and through the restaurant. And that's when USDA came in and said, you know, if you want to ship, you got to have a totally separate kitchen. So that's when we came up. My dad had property. And so we decided to, well, John came in and sort of started that, got that going.
What?
And Pat was one of his first employees. Not here.
But at the shipping kitchen.
Pat was here before, but over there.
I made the cut, Earl. So he took me. Like I made the cut. I went from single A up to
The A team. What did
But
Charlie?
that's cool.
What?
You're getting all these stories, man. I mean, you're getting the real deal because nobody knows that Uncle Pete took him out to Delta Dash.
I didn't. I just knew it was
FedEx
somebody
stories.
that it was Delta. What did Charlie do when they told him you had to have a shipping kitchen? Because he was not one to just take orders from people.
You got that
Do
right.
you really want to know?
Yeah.
I can't say on the air.
We're all, yeah, this is PG-13.
Yeah, he wasn't too happy about it, but you know what? He finally went along with it, as you can see.
He did. And
He did. He's from a different era. He came from when government inspectors on your property telling you what to do, this. It's not like that. It's they help you, and thank goodness he did see the light because we're in the driver's seat now.
Yeah.
We're set to just be this pandemic. We can adjust and ship to people all over the country, and they get it safe and just as good as the restaurant cooked in the. He did it right. He built the same exact pits that are down here in the restaurant. He built in the Pitts district. We all have the same process, the same procedures. It's just, I'm glad he came along and it's just, you're dealing with time groups. He's from a different era and I'm glad he did.
Yeah,
Nick
he
and Tina and
did, and along with John, going over there and starting it from scratch. He was able to, sort of guide my father and take him in the right direction, which, like Pat said, it's the best thing that really happened.
Sure it is. And we could have never predicted this, and it's been chugging along for all these years, and now it's just taking off. And I kind of wanted to show you,
go ahead.
A little bit about the stuff that we do ship.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. So Earl, it comes in a box, a brown corrugated box with our logos on it. The inside box fits inside the outside box.
Okay.
And this artwork, 30 years ago, John and it was Dan Conaway tried to get the feel of the restaurant across to our customers, so they felt like that they were at the restaurant. So the inner box has pictures of all this restaurant, the tile floors. It's got signs. It's got old antiques hanging from the ceiling, and the outer box is pictures of the alley.
Sure. And the sign that hangs out there,
the manhole cover right there when you walk in. So it's corrugated cardboard, so it's shipped priority one overnight. We don't want to ship in styrofoam. We're kind of really eco-friendly down here, and styrofoam
doesn't go anywhere.
Puts a big styrofoam chest and puts about 50 pounds of dry ice. This is unique. Now you pay more, but it's a boutique item. It's worth every penny to get it. Call Memphis at 9:00 at night. You're getting ribs 10:30 the next day. Yeah, pretty cool.
No kidding.
But here's what we ship. I know you guys looked in our pit. If the box opens up, we vacuum pack our ribs.
Okay.
And you can mix and match now. You can do different combos. We do our pork shoulder in tubs, which makes that is a 2-pound tub. That'll make 8 sandwiches. We teamed up with some other local institutions like Poncho's Cheese Dips.
Oh, wow. You know, I was in Florida last year, and we went to Publix, which is the big supermarket chain down there. And we went over there because you don't think about it. You think you can get Poncho's cheese dip anywhere. And we walked over there, and I'm looking at the cheese dip. I said, "You got Poncho's here?" And the guy that's stocking the shelves goes, "Only place I know you can get Poncho's is Memphis, Tennessee." I said, "Yeah, we just left there. We know."
And now you can get it on our website.
That's
and
great.
We also teamed up with Felicia Suzanne downtown here.
Sure.
She does our peppers for us. And we ship our beans and our coleslaw. We put a popcorn in there. We can put whatever you want in the box. Just go to our website, hogsfly.com. Look at the shipping menu, and you can pick and choose and put whatever you want in there.
And what's nice too, Earl, all this made in Memphis.
Everything.
What's great about it, you can get a nacho box, even the chips, Rims.
Rims makes the
Yeah, they
tortilla
make it,
chips.
and so when we send the nacho box, you are getting a Memphis box.
100%. And you're getting guys that have worked for families for 30 years that are blessed to have done that. So,
well, it is. I really appreciate you showing us around. I want to relate one more story. You know, there's so many great events that have happened there. Whenever Ole Miss plays Memphis in town or is at a bowl game, that place goes crazy. The neatest experience I had there as far as football fans is when Texas played Ole Miss a few years ago, came to town. I was with Fox TV then, and I said, let's go to the Rendezvous. I know they'll be packed. I walked down those steps, and all you could see was University of Texas burnt orange jerseys and hats. And I said, anybody here from Texas? And the whole place just went wild. But that's the
you're
way.
from Texas, so you know
Yes.
it. You're a Texan.
Yeah, in fact,
Tell you what, I look back, and there's guys like Jimmy Ogle who you've had on your show.
sure.
He knows so much history, and he walks people through our dining room, and he's pointing out stuff that I learned. I follow Jimmy around real quietly like a little puppy and listen to what he's saying. There's so much history on these walls. We'd rather see you in person. This pandemic has been crazy, but we're geared to ship it to you. So
Well,
hopefully it'll get back to normal.
and you still have you can order it. What'd she say?
You said hopefully both.
Yeah, hopefully the shipping will continue on and on and on because we've been sending to so many new people that we've never shipped to before.
Yeah.
And they love it, and they come back.
It just exponentially
Yeah.
grows.
Well-
So, yeah, it's been a blessing.
You can imagine what it's like for them. They're living in Seattle, Washington, or someplace, and the box is on their front porch, and there's the Rendezvous. And you open it up and warm it up in the oven and go, man, I'm there. And it's just a wonderful thing. You guys are just a great group of people, and we're so glad that you've hung through this tough period and continue to. And then next Tuesday, you're going to open the dining room again, 50% occupancy. And but in the meantime, you can pick it up just driving up through the alley, the famous alley. In fact, Nick, I remember him telling us, he said, when I did that video biography on Charlie, and he said, and he did it kind of his whisper way Nick used to do. He said, people would drive, they'd say, yeah, you got to go down this alley, and then you got to go down these stairs, and people are looking at you like, do we want to go there? Then they think we're going to get robbed. And then you get down the steps, and it opens up into this incredible world called the Rendezvous. And it's exactly the same today, and we're just so glad that you're there and continue the tradition. Thank you very much.
Cool, Earl. Thank you.
Thank you, Earl.
Thank you.
Patrick
Happy
and
New
Dean
Year.
and Tina, thank you all very much.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. All right. Well, there you are. It's probably the most famous restaurant in Memphis, and it's just, well, you know. I don't have to tell you. If you're from Memphis, you know exactly what the Rendezvous is all about and what it means to you. It means a little something different to everybody because everybody has a different experience there. But I've been here since 1978, 43, 44 years. And it was one of the first places I went. Nick was one of the first people I met. And then we've kind of grown up with Tina and her kids and Nick and just the whole family down at the Rendezvous. And it'll always be part of our lives. And we're just certainly glad that they're there. And that's why you want to continue to support all these restaurants. And I want to say thank you once again to Southern Security Federal Credit Union and Dawn over there, the CEO, Dawn Grader, who's Harold Grader's wife. Everybody knows Harold. And thank them for getting behind this. I went to them and said, do you want to help the restaurants? And she said, absolutely. We support them all the time. But having the cater events. Well, there's no catered events, and you know, they used to send food to people, but you can still do that through the shipping kitchen. But everybody just is doing their part to help them stay alive and keep going. And so order something tonight. Call the Rendezvous. Slide by and get you a couple of racks of ribs and their incredible beans and slaw, and enjoy it. And pray that they all continue and that this thing is over with real soon. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. That's our show. I didn't want to mix anything else up with this and have some other people on, because the Rendezvous stands alone, and we'll stop it there. And I just want to thank everybody at the Rendezvous for having us in. We'll be back tomorrow. It's Friday, and we're going to be visiting the Blue Monkey. 2 locations, one downtown, one in Midtown, in what used to be Trader Dick's old building. And that was one of the first places you notice all these bars I went to when I first got to Memphis. I don't know how that happened, but apparently it did. And I can't stay up past 8 anymore, so I don't go out to many places. Early to rise, early to bed. But we'll have the Blue Monkey on tomorrow, Mike and all the guys, and show you both of their locations and talk about how they've made it through this tough time too. They're also institutions and great places. So we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great evening and stay warm.